Good morning to everyone. It's a wonderful day again that God has made. And I'd just like to encourage us to follow the admonition of Paul when he said that we are to take every opportunity that comes into our lives. In the Old Testament it says, seize the day. Make every moment and every day count. Because every day is made by God for a purpose. What we need to understand is what purpose does God have for me this day? Maybe that's the question we need to constantly confront ourselves with every time we come for the Eucharist every morning, or when we make our daily morning devotion. It is not so much the agenda we have as much as God's agenda that really counts in life. Or else we will go around in circles just doing a lot of work but accomplishing nothing because we do not abide in Him. Remember, Jesus said, unless you abide in me, you can do nothing. And this is what happens many times in people's lives as they go through the toils of each day and yet end up with, after months and years of toil, nothing. There is a notion today in Christianity that seemingly makes every Christian think that Christianity is a life of ease and comfort. And it is. But not in the ease and comfort we define or we think of, where we will just be relaxed, enjoying our own pleasure and day, and having no conflict. And if there is a theme that I would like us to look at and reflect on today, is from Ecclesiastes chapter 9. It says there, whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your might. For there is no activity or planning or wisdom in Sheol where you are going. Let me give you the Brusco version. If you don't want action and conflict, go to hell. That's the Brusco version. If you don't want to be ruffled in your feathers and to have something to dirty your hands with, or to be able to feel opposed, then it says go to hell. Because many times we have the notion that, again, Christianity is a life of just pleasure and ease. And yes, it is. But the pleasure is the pleasure that comes from God, not this that is defined by man. And Christianity talks about always work. There is always conflict. In physics, work is defined as the product of force and distance. In other words, there can be no work without a force. And there can be no force if there is no opposition. Because things will not just happen. A body at rest will remain at rest, and a body in motion will continue moving in a straight line, at constant speed, unless an external force is acted upon it. And so there is that force that is needed, that we have to apply in order for work to be done. And work is what we were made for. We were made to work. Life is about work. The first command, one of the first commands actually, not the first, one of the first commands of God before the curse was cultivate and keep. Cultivate and keep what you have. And this is what the gospel today is about. Jesus was busy. The busyness of Christ, again, is not just work for work's sake. Remember, he said, my food is to do the will of the Father. That is what energizes him. That is what the work is about. The will of the Father. And he goes from place to place, always, constantly, at work, doing the work of God. And he begins today with healing. He begins with people who are disabled. People who are perhaps so easy to marginalize in society today. So easy to just ignore. So easy to just give a few pesos so that they would go away. But he spends time with them. He saw here how he healed them. And he began to see the lame, the crippled, the blind, the dumb. So many around him. And they were transformed. And after that, he goes to another place. People are there continually following him. And he busies himself with not just the disabled, but those who are tired. Then those who are hungry. And the challenge last Sunday about the example that the bishop gave about Habitat for Humanity really confronts us as far as the purpose of life is concerned. Why are we called the sons of the free woman? What is freedom and liberty for? Is it so that we can just do what we want? Isn't freedom, Paul says, and I would just like to fast forward Galatians, it was for freedom that Christ has set you free. And use that freedom not for the flesh, but in love serve one another. The whole attitude of our gifts and freedom and life is for the purpose of God, to accomplish His will, not for our sake. We will be blessed, yes. We will be productive. We will be so prolific with our lives, abounding in so many things. But that's not the goal. The goal is to be like Christ, to serve others. And all these things will be added to you, as God said. Let us be challenged always that every day there will be conflict. I mean, it's not like a good news, but there will be. The good news is that in those conflicts, we are already equipped, enabled, and empowered to take on what we have. Let God's work allow, and His life, His sacraments, continually equip us with that which we have been made to do, the purpose of our creation, today, every day of our lives.